Hi, welcome to this presentation with ECIT. My name is Eirik Tunerisland and I'm an analyst with ABG. With me today I have the CEO Peter Lauring, CFO Mats Skogård, partner of the IT division Mikkel Valde, and IR is Linn Paulsen. They will give us a 20 minutes presentation and we will round off with some questions after that. So with that I give the word over to you.
Thank you, Eric. My name is Peter Lauring. We will tell a little bit about ECIT, the business we are building, the services we are offering to our customers, how we have done the financial performance the last couple of years and the last quarter, our financial targets, a little about financial targets going forward, and something about why ECIT could be an interest company to have a share in. With that, first, a little bit about ECIT. ECIT was founded in 2013. It has since that been built on an acquisition model where we are acquiring a part of a company in order to make the entrepreneurs who actually is running the company when ECIT meets them to be part of both building the company going forward as well as building ECIT. We have done around 125 acquisitions since the very start, and due to our model, we have 250 what we call operative partners, meaning for entrepreneurs who are owning shares in the local subsidiaries as well as shares in ECIT. ECIT is a people business with more than 2,200 employees. ECIT present in 10 countries with the majority of the customer base in Scandinavia and two quite large nearshore capacity bases in Lithuania and in Poland. And through providing accounting services as well as IT services to our customers, we aim to be a strategic partner. And since this is the two largest posters in most companies' admin budgets. If we look at the offerings, ECIT has a large F&A division providing finance and accounting services, payroll and HR, and a little debt collection, only in Norway actually, but on payroll and finance and accounting doing quite a large spectrum of services. On the IT services and support side, we provide IT security, IT operation, managed services, and data centers. We have several data centers hosting ASP and hybrid cloud solutions, as well as we have the local device management where we are operating the workplace for many of our customers. Besides that, we have a department for division for digitalization solutions where we are delivering customized ERP, CRM, payroll solutions for our customers, both ECIT products as well as third-party products, Microsoft, Visma, and Jeeves and the like. On top of the two divisions, we have a small tech software division who is providing a business suite mainly aimed for our SMB customers, ERP, digital invoice handling, ERP system, payroll system, logistics, travel, time and material, mileage, and many other offerings. But basic is like we combine finance and accounting services with IT services and are strong in the corner point where those two activities meet each other. And then we support it by gradually building our own product suite of ECIT tech aimed mainly at our accounting customers. ECIT has over the time developed what we call a standard process on how to acquire and integrate a company into becoming part of ECIT. It's quite important that even though we have made 125 acquisitions, we are building a group. We are not building a group of companies. And the process we gradually have developed is that we are making an acquisition as the first step. Then we made the companies to relocate to larger sites where they can sit together. Sitting there, they normally or as a normal process starts to cooperate and gradually to integrate, and that process ends very often with that they merge to form a larger company, and also sitting together in a multi-competence environment makes that we are forming a much more attractive environment for our employees, as well as a visible, much more strong, capable environment for our customers. Looking into how we build the business based on acquisitions, but gradually are building a group that is consolidated, is that we have an approach where we do not uniform our entrepreneurs in new companies to become part of the ECIT way from the very beginning, but we accept that this is a gradual process where they gradually adhere to, align to, become part of ECIT and part of the ECIT standards that we are developing. And they are in that process able to affect the standards then on how we are building, on which we are building ECIT, meaning there's a buy-in from coming from the outside, having your own picture of how you should build a business, and to gradually become part of how we in ECIT are building a business. That keeps the entrepreneurs on board with ECIT, which is quite important. If we look at the financial performance, we have an historical, we started at 0 in 2013. We have had a gradual build up on the business from day one, and we have actually also produced a positive EBITDA in all the years we've been operating. Coming out of 2021 with a 2.4 million revenue and a 339 million EBITDA, or 14.2%. And if we look at how that EBITDA has transferred to cash flow, it's like we have had a growth in revenue from 20 to 21 at 30%. We have had a growth in EBITDA from 20 to 21 at 32%, and the growth in our free cash flow have increased by 35%, actually meaning that we are transforming revenue growth to earnings growth and actually to growth in the free cash flow as well. A large part, close to 71% of our revenue is very repeatable, or it's based on recurring contracts. And if we look, so we have quite a stable revenue going forward, and we are actually in the process of gradually changing our time and material historical, where we're coming from historical into contracts where we have a fixed amount or transaction pricing behind the customer relationship or the customer deliveries, meaning we are working gradually to make our revenue more stable for the years to come. Looking at earnings per share, we have increased from 3 years per share in 19 to 13 years per share in 2021. And if you take a little comment on the business segments, the 3 divisions, we have an F&A division that has increased the revenue from 843 to 1298 in 19 to 1298 in 2021, with a 225 million EBITDA or 17.3%. And if you take the IT division, it's from 553, 19 to 1.1 billion 2021, with a 12.7% margin, 140 million in EBITDA. And the tech division that is gradually building up from almost or from 0, it's increasing from 29 million to 104 million in 2021, We are investing in that division, and we'll do that for a couple of years going forward. So it'll take a year or two before we will see some attractive EBITDA. But we can see we gradually are coming there, and that some of the companies, some of the products gradually are transforming from just be cash outflow to actually create some EBITDA. On how to drive the revenue in these divisions, we have quite a good organic fundament in the ability to cross-sell. We have a customer base at more than 50,000 customers, so the potential for cross-sell or upsell is quite large. It takes a week or two to make the organization to adjust to be able to cross-sell, because you actually have to be able to make sure that the customer are happy on the other side. So it's something it's a super interesting potential, but it takes some time to actually realize the potential. And then, of course, attract new customers and customer retention. We work quite strongly with NPS, getting better at it over the years, actually. And then, of course, which have formed the ECIT part acquisitions. We have been doing between 8 to 20 acquisitions a year over the last, actually since we started ECIT, and we aim to continue to do acquisitions in that way. On the margin, the consolidation process and aligning to the ECIT way is by far the largest driver to improve EBITDA, and we can see it comes as we are forming a core body in ECIT. We become stronger in that area, but also that is a process that takes a week or two. Also because we have many employees we are working with to actually be able to have the same deliveries, the same notions, the same way of acting, the same contracts, the same everything when we are facing our customers. Nearshoring is part of where we gain EBITDA margin as well as cost synergies. But the by far most important part here is to build one company out of the many companies we have acquired. Looking at financial performance just for the recent quarter, Q1, we came out of the quarter with 710 million in revenue and 87 million in EBITDA, which is a 28% revenue growth and a 12.3% margin, a little increase compared to the 11.9% we had the same quarter last year. And as well here, a 32% EBITDA growth measured quarter over quarter has translated into a 35% growth measured quarter over quarter in the free cash flow. On the acquisitions, we have done 2 in Q1 22. One is Exact Accounting with a revenue around 50 million and an 80% EBITDA margin. It's actually the old KPMG accounting in Norway, and we consider it quite interesting for 3 reasons. One is they are very capable on the large account segments where we actually acquired Norian last year and see those 2 companies to act together going forward. The other thing is that it had a very strong ex-ledger environment, which in combination with the same ex-ledger environment in Norian actually can form a quite strong ex-ledger business going forward. We will become one of the largest ex-ledger partners in Norway. And Exact as well had a quite strong Microsoft environment, whereas Microsoft is not so much known in Norway. That is mainly Visma country, but Microsoft is growing. So having gaining a team that's working focused on Microsoft products is a thing that we expect to grow to experience growth based on the strengths coming from this team. As well, we have acquired a company called CataCloud with an ERP solution aimed for SMB customers, and we expect with that product that we are able to implement it on 12 to 14,000 on our present customer base within, say, between the coming 1 to 3 years. It takes a week or two there as well to make such a large change. But having the product is giving us the possibility to actually gradually switch to ECIT-based technology on our account counting production. If we look at our mid to long-term ambitions, we actually have quite a strong growth ambition. Totally, we expect to grow 15%. If you look at us in 5 years' time and look back, we should have had a total growth at least 15% per year. And we are including in that a target for 5.5% growth, organic every year. We aim to deliver an EBITDA margin at 17% compared to the 14.2 we had in 2021. And we also aim to continue to do acquisitions at a level around 350 million NOK in revenue per year going forward. And to add to that comment is to say we for now have a larger pipeline of acquisition targets than we have ever had before, as well as that the quality of the objects in this pipeline is getting more and more interested. It's very visible for us that as we are gaining size and becoming a little known, that more and more quality companies would like to actually meet us and consider to becoming a part of ECIT. All in all, if you look at ECIT from the outside, we are operating on 2 large markets. One is the F&A market with around 100 billion in total revenue in the Nordics, and the other is the IT market with around 500 billion market size in the Nordics. Both markets is something that all companies need, whether it's tough financial conditions in society or whether it's good conditions. You always need accounting, F&A, and payroll. You always need your IT services, whether how conditions are. So we have quite a stable fundament for our revenue. Our services and offerings towards our customers are strong in the cross point of where accounting meets IT. And we are coming from, as the accounting services are getting more and more digitalized, more and more automated, to become part of that development is part of how we see ECIT it will be important and will have a competitive place in the markets going forward. We have a large customer base with more than 50,000 customers and increasing. We have an organization that keep the entrepreneurs that have originally joined ECIT from acquisitions, keep their spirit, keep their drive, they want to build a business together with a quite experienced management team. It's for several of us who are in the management team. It's the 3rd time we are building a business like this. ECIT has quite a growth potential from up and cross-selling to this large customer base, and also quite some margin potential coming from that we are gradually aligning, consolidating, and implementing how we are doing things in ECIT, doing them, so to speak, in the ECIT way. And then we hope that we have demonstrated that we are able to actually buy a company or buy part of a company and gradually transform it to become part of an ECIT organization and an ECIT group. And as we have a strong pipeline, we expect that buy strategy to continue for the years we can see in for the coming years. So with that, I think I'm through my presentation and we are ready for questions, if there should be any.
Thank you, Peter. As you become larger, it is natural that you will start to look at larger M&A opportunities, and you touched slightly upon this, but can you shed some light on how your M&A strategy has developed recently and what kind of acquisitions you are looking to do going forward?
We can see that we are meeting companies who on one side are larger and for that reason also have a more professional owners, meaning that we are increasingly meeting companies where there are financial investors, and with them we cannot use this in the same way our traditional we are buying a part of a company. So what we do is we buy a much larger part of a company, or we acquire 100%, and then we sell something of what we have acquired, the shares we have acquired, back to the management to actually incentivize them to have the drive to build the business going forward according to our model. And in the lower end of the smaller companies, so to speak, we can see that companies that wouldn't talk with us 5-7 years back, quality companies actually look at us now and say, maybe it could be interesting to hear what you can offer us. So we get more qualified. We have a more qualified pipeline, meeting more qualified companies on a regular basis.
So larger share of ownership and larger companies as well going forward, I assume.
Without leaving the smaller companies, but I think the smaller companies have a little higher competence profile than the ones we acquired 8 years back.
Yeah, and in the nature of being an M&A compounder, margins are obviously affected when you do acquisitions. So can you also say something about the underlying margins that you're seeing in each segment and how they have developed recently?
I can say it like this: we have made three larger acquisitions in the F&A area 2 years within the last 2 years. A company called Från in Sweden, who actually came to us with a negative EBITDA, now delivering a quite nice, at least in comparison, positive EBITDA. We acquired Moderne Økonomi, which we gradually are affecting also to deliver better. We acquired Norian, who is quite a new acquisition still in the terms of that is the largest acquisition we have done so far. But they all are gradually improving their margins as they are becoming a part of ECIT. In the IT division, we can see we are just in the middle of 3 large mergers affecting the IT division. But we can see whenever we have made these mergers that within half a year, 12 months, 18 months after that, the company are coming out stronger with a better margin, with a better fundament for organic growth, and actually are able to meet a larger customer segment. So we expect the margin in the IT division coming out of the mergers gradually to improve. And it's exactly the same in the accounting division. On the software division, I expect, as I mentioned, that it will take a year or two before we will see a super positive margin there, because we are building more than we are harvesting, so to speak, where we are right now.
Yeah, interesting. And you also mentioned the cross-selling potential, but can you say something about how many customers that are both involved in F&A and IT, or are there sort of any cross-selling potential that you can quantify?
Well, I think, Mikkel, you are actually able to better answer that than me, because it's not only cross-sale F&A and IT, it's also internal IT to IT. Mikkel, could you shed some light here, please?
Yes, the cross-selling, I would say, is a relatively low number of customers, partly because it's not common. It's not many places where you can actually source both F&A and IT combined from one supplier or vendor. So the customer will need to realize that we can actually provide both of these areas from one provider. So that's one thing, and then it's something that we are working very hard on making a model for increasing cross sells, and it's starting to roll and it's starting to pick up speed, and I think the numbers will definitely increase for the following years now that we have a structure, sort of a structure in place. So relatively low, very high potential.
Could I add to that we have a target internal that it says we should generate 3.5% of our total revenue should come from cross sales, and I think we from the poor registrations we're able to track from our because we are also building a shared service center, meaning now we have 80 different local bookie or balance sheets to look into, and we are over the next year transforming them to be all delivered from one shared service center. So we will know this better, but I say around 2.5% of our revenue growth are coming from cross sales where we are right now.
Yeah, sounds interesting. I think we are out of time now, but thank you for taking the time to present to us today. And for those who listened in, thank you as well.
Thank you for your time and attention. And Iselin, you want to say something?
Not really prepared, but would just like to add that the cross-sales potential that Mikkel and Peter just spoke about is increasing in the Nordic countries, especially within the IT section.
Thank you. That's
Good
all
to hear.
for us.
Thank you.
Cheers.